I'm Chris from Play Comics, a show where we look at video games based on comic properties and how well they stick to that source material, a part of the Gonna Geek Network, just like the show you're checking out now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other astonishingly geeky shows at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
I'm Megan Fitzmartin, and you're listening to Capes on the Couch, where comics get counseling.
Capes on the Couch podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Dr. Issues is a psychiatrist, but he is not your psychiatrist and does not have knowledge of your individual situation. For any personal mental health concerns, please consult your own healthcare providers. For medical emergencies, please call 911 or the designated number in your area immediately. Remember that you are not alone and help is out there.
We will get started in 3, 2. Hello and welcome to Capes on the Couch, where comics get counseling. I'm Anthony Sitko.
And I'm Dr. Issues.
And I'm Allen Dunford. I thought I was like, am I not a host?
I mean, I was literally about to say, and here with our recurring third co-host on the show for, I don't know, 8, 9 times. I've lost track at this point.
Okay, so I ran 11 Kickstarters. So I've probably been on here for maybe 9 of them.
Okay.
Yeah. I was going to say it's got to be up there in total. But Allen Dunford, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show, you sexy beast and brand new father.
Yes, Pappy.
You are a dad. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much.
As he sits there and sips his coffee in the evening.
At 9 o'clock at night.
Yep. 8:30 and he's drinking coffee.
Yeah.
That's fatherhood if ever I saw it.
Yes.
So let's talk very briefly about that then. That's your latest creation, or at least the one I would hope to say you're most proud of.
This is the only one that's not on Kickstarter.
Not yet, anyway. Depending on how she sleeps tonight, I'd be like, listen, please take my child. I am taking bids. I don't know. Although I don't know if it would be Kickstarter, it might eBay maybe, or like a GoFundMe kind of deal.
Yeah, no, it's wild, man. You know, she's a month old, and it's crazy, right? So granted, she's living the life that I think that we all want to live. You know, she just wakes up, eats herself, and goes right back to sleep. So, I mean, that's pretty cool.
I mean, depending on, where I was in my late 20s, early 30s, I've certainly had nights like that. I don't know that it's sustainable as a lifestyle, but
man, people make it work every day, bud.
I'm sure they do. And then they end up having to go see Doc because they have a litany of other issues that they're dealing with.
And then I'll be studying them in health disparities.
Exactly. Yes. Then they'll be part of your doctoral thesis.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh man. Well, that's fantastic. And Doc and I are both the father of daughters. His much older than mine, who is not terribly much. Well, she'll be 2 in June. We just converted her from a crib to a bed because we found out that she could exit the crib on her own and made and crossed the chasm to the changing table, which is close to a foot across. Mm-hmm. Just looked on the monitor one morning, couldn't find her in the crib, turned the camera over. There she is sitting on the changing table, just cleaning herself with wipes, just talking to herself. So now she's got a mattress on the floor, which unfortunately means bedtime is
like
that much more difficult. Well, I mean, it's safer. I mean, we've got a toddler rail up, right? She's not just,
okay.
She's got much bigger than.
I just imagine I want 1920s jail system where she just has a tin can that she just runs across bars,
No, but she does come to the door. She will open up the door when she's done napping or if she's not quite asleep yet. And she'll just crack it open and just kind of stick her head out and wait for someone to come over and see her. And then she's like, hi, Daddy. Hi, Mommy.
Nice.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so cute. Yeah, this is the only thing keeping you alive right now because you need to go to sleep. You need to go to sleep, my beautiful little angel/terror. So speaking of beautiful terrors and nightmares, you obviously have a long history of working in comics with a bit of a horror and a humor bent to them, but we're here to talk about the Herald. Mm-hmm. First, anyway, we'll get to some other stuff that you've got in the hopper, but the Herald, the Herald is the new Kickstarter, and we'll have links to that in the show notes. But this one seems to be pretty straightforward. There's not a ton of humor, at least as I can see, not in the wacky zany sense of like a Pocus or a Grandma Chainsaw, where there's that deft mixture of horror and comedy. This one plays it much more straight in terms of the horror and the sci-fi demonic stuff. So I guess first question is, what led you to want to tell this particular story?
So obviously I have to give a big shout out to Ruben Moko, who this was his brainchild, right? And he had this huge idea that he wanted to tell like his version of like a Clive Barker spaghetti Western, right? And he reached out to me because I'm assuming 12 other people said no. So he came to me last when all resources were exhausted, and we kind of pieced together this story. And what's great about this, I feel like Ruben and I, we've been talking about the Herald for like, God, a year now, something crazy like that, because we wanted to get it right. And this story, because I don't want to give anything away. Obviously, this thing's going to be about 5 issues, but it follows a wanderer in a Old West setting that's trying to retrieve this box that was stolen, and it's kind of plagued him throughout time. So I don't know. It's one of those like things where you guys know me. I love the occult stuff. I think that is just so fascinating and such a cool world to build in. And there's so much lore and rich culture to it that you can build off of. And I just love the fact that we mixed it with a Western.
Yeah, that was one of the things when I was reading it and looking at the setting and the theme. I was like, okay. From the first page, it kind of grabbed me, and I was like, all right, I'm intrigued. And then there was another sequence, and again, I'm trying not to speak about it too much for not spoiling it, but in terms of showing the, you mentioned it, so I feel it's safe to kind of talk about through time.
We actually have those pages on the Kickstarter as a preview, just because, like, listen, embrace the weird, right? Let people know it's like, hey, this is what you're getting yourselves into.
Okay. All right. So yeah. So since it is on the Kickstarter, the guy's like in the Old West, and then he's like, I remember the last time I was dealing with this, and we see he's in ancient Rome or ancient Greece, and it's like, oh, okay. All right. I'm here.
Yeah.
I get it now. Got it. All right. Cool. Let me keep going with this.
Yeah.
Definitely enjoyed that. I'm getting kind of like a Ghost Rider vibe, but like a Phantom Rider, less, like Johnny Blaze, and more just like Phantom Rider in that sense of, the wanderer, the guy going from town to town in the Old West, and he has seen some things.
Yes,
he will make you see some things and go through some stuff if you don't be nice to him.
Yes. Yeah. So, and that's what's cool about it too, because like we wanted that mysticism element with this. We wanted, again, we kind of like what we did with Pocus. Like Pocus is a Faustian tale that we wanted to make our own. Grandma Chainsaw is a slasher that we wanted to make our own. And Horace, Saturday morning cartoon that we wanted to make our own. And then you could tell it, it's like, oh, hey, this is coming from these guys, right? This is no exception either, just because, like, it doesn't have that tongue-in-cheek humor, but it's going to be situationally kind of like, it's situationally dark humor, right? We have a couple deaths in it that you can't help but kind of chuckle at, just because of how ridiculous and over the top some of them are. And a lot of the situations that we have in here are inspired by, Ruben said this before about the Westerns that he used to watch as a kid. And it's just kind of cool to see how we pulled from that. And the unique thing about this book is how it's done. And Ruben really challenged me as a writer. And I hate him for it, because he, Ruben is the artist on this too. And he knows where he wants it to go. So he draws and colors the book first, and then we go in and write it.
Oh, wow.
So he has the story beats done. So Ruben presented all 25 pages of issue 1 of the Herald, and he's like, you ready? And then we just sat down one evening, and he already kind of had an outline of what he wanted. And then we just went in and just plug and played what we thought would fit versus what didn't fit. Of course, we made edits and everything like that. But this is really cool because now we have a even better idea of where we wanted to go for issue 2, 3, 4, and then how we're going to end this thing. And yes, we do answer all the questions. So it's not one of those where we don't really leave anything, of course, there might be some stuff that's left up to interpretation. But with this, we really wanted to tell just a straightforward narrative. And we do get to find out what this guy's mission is and really who he is and why he's doing this.
Yeah, that's impressive to have the visuals even, because I have to admit, when I'm reading something, my brain works backwards. Maybe that says too much, but basically I will read something, get an image in my head, and then see if what I'm imagining matches what I'm seeing on the page when it comes to comics. No, it's why I love novels. Yeah. It's why I love reading certain things, and then later on getting some sort of physical interpretation of that, be it a TV show or movie or whatever, because sometimes it's exactly the same. Sometimes it's like, whoa, this is way off what I would have thought. So for the input as the writer to hear that, like that, yeah, that absolutely fascinates me. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, again, like my favorite part about this whole book is that, God, this is going to sound like, this is going to sound crazy, but my favorite part about this book is that I'm not needed. And what I mean by that is how Ruben drew this thing. He was really meticulous with it because he wanted it to feel like it was from that time period. He used flat colors, some sketchy lines, and even whenever your stuff is shaded, you don't actually see like a full shadow underneath someone. It's a block underneath it. Lights, same way. Again, it feels applicable to something that you maybe would have seen drawn during that point. And each page can tell the story itself. And, that's just kind of a testament to how he drew the thing. And then we just went in and filled in the blanks for where we thought, hey, we might need to, punch it up here so we can tell the story a little bit more.
Yeah, it's just a really cool, process, very, Marvel method of the way that Stanley and Jack Kirby used to work together on, comics and telling stories. It was a very collaborative effort. I don't know that it was ever a situation where Jack just went full bore and drew everything before presenting it to Stan. But then again, neither of them are around, so we can't really ask them what they did and how it worked. But yeah, that's really cool. And again, credit to Ruben for coming up with the visuals in his head and just kind of laying everything out and giving and trusting you with that authority and freedom to put in some of the words to help tell the story. Now, is that going to continue? Is that format going to continue for the rest of the book, or?
Unfortunately, yes.
Unfortunately?
Yeah. It's tough, man. It's fun though. Like for real, it's a good break, right? Because, whenever you're doing stuff like this and, the artist on this one is the co-creator and this is just his process. It's crazy. Right. And again, it's challenging and I really, really like it. He's already shown me some pages from issue 2, and issue 2 it's going to be fun. But it's one of those things where I think I've said this to you guys before too, and some other people may obviously see it differently than what I do, but for me personally, issue 1s are hard because how much information do you give versus how much do you let your world build? And then how much action do you want to go into to keep the reader enticed to go to your issue 2, or will they even care enough about your characters if you skimp on that a little bit, right? So I have a tendency to overthink my issue 1s a lot, but again, I think it's kind of worked out so far with how I like to try to do my pacing and everything. And again, Ruben and we just kind of hit it off with this.
Awesome. That's like I said, having read the first issue, I really am intrigued to see where it goes, and I want to know. I guess it's just obviously you're describing it's unlike how you've done anything, and it's very unlike how I imagine a lot of people. Most comics these days are written, unless you're somebody like a Daniel Warren Johnson who just writes and draws most of his own stuff. So I'm still trying to wrap my head around this from a conceptual standpoint.
Yeah, like always, shout out to Dave Lentz, who's lettered and designed all of the books I've been on. He really did so great with this book too.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, the lettering and just from the perspective of writing that flashback scene that we get to the ancient, again, I can't tell if it's Rome or Greece, but the lettering there has that different font of the very angled, that kind of is, like, I hate to say like a cheat, but it very evocative of that time period with the angles on the letters. And and just the palette is a total shift from the West to the ancient, then back to the West. Mm-hmm. It really does clue you in that it's very different and distinct. So yeah, again, full credit to Ruben for doing all that work. Just Nelly.
Yeah. Shoot, boy.
So tell us a little bit about the Kickstarter and some of the awesome stuff that you've got going on, because it's been a minute since you've had kind of the launch of a new universe.
So the Kickstarter for this one, we wanted it to be just pretty straightforward. There's the add-ons is everything that you see on the campaign. And we actually have 4 different covers for this one. So we have Ruben's cover, his cover A, which obviously I love all the covers here. But Ruben's was, whenever I saw that thing, I was like, all right, that's the cover we needed for this thing too. It kind of tells so much of the story. And then we have a cover B. I think it's Bram Revel. I think it's how you say it. I hope I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'm so sorry. And then cover C is by an artist I've never worked with before. His name's Brian Belando. He's pretty cool. I'd like to try to get him for a couple books if he ever has any availability.
As Alan takes the tongue out of his cheek. Yeah. On that.
And then, so then we also have an exclusive holofoil cover on here. And then we also have all the other covers in metal as well. So then one of the other things too that Ruben is doing, he's letting you be drawn as an outlaw in 4x6 print. And that's my stupid face on there in the Wanted Dead or Alive.
Okay. I think I may have asked for that.
You done did.
When I backed it, I don't remember. I was a day one back. I was like a minute one backer. Alan texted me, he's like, the Kickstarter just went live. Like I literally clicked the link.
Literally, you texted me after I hit go live, and then you texted me. I was like, oh, that's ironic.
Yeah, you texted me, that oh hey, this just went live, and I was like, oh sweet. And then I see the thing, day one backer, and I was like, well, shoot, I got this. I backed it like within minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, we're super happy with this. It's a cool thing to see this be this is our number one, right? And it's always great to see how your issue ones do. And it's also more important to us to see just the response from people, because it gets to a point where we are doing so many different types of books, and just the turnout for this one in a new universe, a new style, a new type of storytelling. Yeah, it's great. And I can't wait for you guys to see what we're doing coming up.
Yeah. I mean, again, I add this on to the list of fantastic issue ones that you've got a solid track record. And we'll get into some of the future stuff that you've got coming up in just a bit. But issue 1, as you said, is difficult to pull off. You have to explain everything. You have to world build. You have to introduce characters, and you've got to have enough to draw people in and get them coming back for issue 2, hinting towards the arc or the big bad or whatever, the MacGuffin, whatever the thing is. You have to fit all of that into 20-something pages.
Yep. Yay. It's a blast.
It's fine. It's easy. It's comics. Comics are for children. I mean, you're basically writing kids books here. I mean, with pictures.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, as my son likes to say. So, all right. So the Herald is still live. The Kickstarter is still live. It ends May 11th at 10 a.m. Saturday, May 11th. So,
okay, cool deal.
All right. So let's move on to another new story. We'll stick with the new universes. And this is Final Girl Next Door.
Yes. Super excited about this one.
This one Hugh's much more in the horror comedy vein.
I was going to say, this is you.
Yes,
this is me.
Yes, this is all you. Did Will work on this one?
No. I did solo writing on this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Final Girl Next Door. Very much, as I said, that mixture of hominy car.
Yeah.
It's a long day. Yeah. Comedy horror. Yeah, homedy. That's it. I'm making it. Yeah, it's like dramedy. I mean, dramedy is an accepted genre. Why isn't homedy or hormedy? I don't. Would it be hormedy?
That one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe not. Maybe okay. Yeah. Maybe we'll just stick with the homedy. Sounds like homily. Yeah. So Final Girl Next Door. Tell us kind of what led to this one.
So again, I think last ditch effort to find someone. So Mike had an idea that he approached me with, Mike Teener from Bad Bug, and he said, "Hey, I want you to put together a story for me that involves a girl who's the survivor of a slasher, and all the slashers that she survived start to come back for her again." And I said, "I got you." And then that's how this came up. So, I'm telling this thing in a weird format, but it will make sense as the book progresses. Each issue, because there's 4 slashers altogether that are chasing her. In each issue, you kind of get the origin of her first run-in with each slasher, and it makes sense to what we see happen in the issue. So this one's been like a blast to write because, again, like you said, Doc, it's me. So this is kind of like just second nature for this one to come about. So this thing's been wild, man. And I can't wait for you guys to see. But yeah, so The Final Girl Next Door follows the story of a girl named Kate who survives a slasher, and she's the final girl at the beginning of the issue. And then we cut to 5 years later, and another slasher is after her again. And I don't want to give too much more away from there. But of course, we really do want to play off the girl next door stuff because we have a guy named Todd who lives across the street from her who wants to get with her because hey, she's the shy girl next door, but little does he know what he's about to get himself into.
I was definitely getting a vibe of the Evil Dead remake with Jane Levy and that sense of kind of like what she would be like. I know she doesn't necessarily look like Jane Levy, but like if you were to continue the story like 5 years after that Evil Dead story with Jane Levy.
Yeah, I hear you.
And what she would be going through and how she would be. And then I think this one would really be, a prime opportunity to kind of get into some of the trauma and the psychological stuff. Not that we don't talk about some of the psychological issues of some of the other characters, but this one I think is really primed for that type of a discussion.
Yeah, I actually mentioned that in the issue. Anthony, I think you said you had a chance to read it. So, at the end of the issue, Kate kind of has I don't want to say a monologue because I don't write long enough to have a monologue, but she kind of, is talking to Todd and she tells him, she's gone through this so many times and she tries to keep everyone safe, but it's the same thing every time. Right. Yeah. So I am going to play up on that on the next issue while also still having fun. Like I'm not going to trauma dump on people.
No, I didn't get a chance to read it in depth yet, but there's a couple of panels where it's just really obvious. All right. I get the point.
Yep.
In terms of experience and what that trauma can do. I'll say both for and against because it's not as if she's a total recluse from what I can tell. It's that, well, got to survive some way. And, she has, at this point, she's got systems in place. It's not all like just all random. Oh God, how am I going to figure this out now? It's like, nah, come at me.
Wanted her to be a total badass. Yeah. Right. And each issue we find out how she became a total badass to get us to the Kate that we have currently, who is just ready for anything, and I love that idea of kind of running with that principle. And the killers that we get the chance to see in this are all so fun and so unique in their own way. And I just really like it's great because the first one you get to see is Chef Death, and it's just a French chef that is just killing people. And unfortunately, I think I've peaked in this book because I make the dumbest joke that I've ever made for a killer. And I hate it because I'll never make anything like that again. And the killer that we get a chance to really see in this one, he's called the taxidermist, and he's a taxidermist that drives a taxi. The end.
Yep. Got it.
I mean, I love it. I love it. It's fine.
Oh God.
What's wrong with that?
What happens when the guy from Taxi Driver decides to,
sew people up?
Yeah, and then comes to, take your pick, Sarah Connor or Ellen Ripley's house.
Yes. Yeah. And again, this thing, I love embracing the tropes and playing off of that stuff. And this one is definitely no exception from that. So I just can't wait for everyone to check this one out. So this one's definitely coming soon. The book's already completed. My fine friends here at Capes on the Couch got a chance to have access to the full first issue, all 25 pages. And yeah, I think you guys are going to like it.
Yeah. So now is this one a mini, or is this going to be, potentially an ongoing, or?
This one's going to be 5 issues.
Okay.
Yeah. Because again, don't want to overstay the welcome, right? If this one, I don't know, we might be able to do an arc too, but how I have everything set up for it, I think 5 issues is solid enough to tell the story that we need to find out why these slashers are coming back and all this stuff.
All right. And when is that one going to go to Kickstarter?
Yeah, I think that one will probably actually be here in probably about 3 weeks to a month, maybe, if not sooner. So just keep your eyes out. I'll send Anthony the link. So all you couchers, I don't know, what's your fan base called?
We don't really have.
I don't think we ever actually determined that.
Couchers.
Oh God.
I don't know.
These.
Yeah,
I don't know if I like any of these.
Yeah, I don't.
I love our fans. I'm not sure I love these titles.
Yeah, I just call them, our fans. So
okay. All right. So Anthony will send that to the fans.
Yeah, let's just go with that, and we'll just leave it at that. All right. So I think we've covered the 2 new ones, and now let's talk about which you've also got coming up, some trips back into some favorite universes of ours, and we'll start off with the Grandma Chainsaw finale.
I'm so sad. I don't want it to end. Obviously, whenever it goes live, I'd love to come back on and do a full episode of it where we get a chance to talk about it. And I would even be okay with a spoiler-filled episode because you guys will have a chance to read the full first issue or the full 4th issue. So we'll have a chance to have the whole series together because we won't be coming back for another issue on that because it's going to be done. But yeah, the book is almost finished, and it makes me so sad because everyone on the team is just absolutely in love with this series, but we don't want it to overstay its welcome. And that has been our mantra ever since this book was made.
And for fans of the show, and for fans of me in particular, if you have any strong feelings about Anthony Sitt in perhaps a negative fashion, or maybe you've been annoyed by me, or whatever the case may be, let's just say this. I was going to say there's some catharsis here for you.
Yeah,
in this one.
This part's no secret. On Grandma Chainsaw number 3, we had an option for 4 or 5 backers to get drawn into the book. Anthony took us up on that, and he told me to do my worst. And I was happy
they did. And they did.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and
so funny, dude. It is.
I'm glad.
So funny.
I'm very glad that you made it your pet project.
Yeah. It is, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the cat's meow, some would say.
I know. And, I've seen the manner in which I died, and I'm not going to be a pussy and complain about it. I could sit here and caterwaul all day long, but
it barely scratches the surface of what this book's about.
Yeah. You're really going to want to dig your claws into this one. Capes on the Scratch Couch.
Are you boxing up your emotions right now?
No. I just, I have to be very careful. I don't know. There may be something in my throat. It feels like a hairball.
Well, you are perfect after all. So
yeah. All right. I think we've littered enough puns throughout the past 90 seconds.
Oh boy.
Oh gosh.
This one's for the Patreons. Stuff you guys pay for. No, but for real though,
people are going to be sitting there going, I paid money for this.
Yeah, it's going to tank now. No, but Grandma Chainsaw number 4, it is the last one. This one will have the trade paperback on there. So I know that some people like to wait until the series is completely done so they can go ahead and get it from start to finish without having to wait. But yeah, we cannot wait for you guys to check it out, and can't wait to come back on here to do a special episode with you guys for a whole series overview for it, because it's it, and we'll definitely give it to you guys before the show launches, or before the Kickstarter launches.
Yeah. Like I said, loving it.
After that, we're going back to Pocus, and we cannot wait to get back into that world, because we left issue 5 off with such a huge cliffhanger.
Yeah.
So that one was a hard choice for us, because we wanted to go ahead and do Pocus 6 after Grandma 3, but we were all talking about it, and we're like, it's just one more issue. Like, and I'm not saying like, let's just get it over with. Like, we're trying to rush through it, but it's like, let's just do it. Right. Let's go ahead and just finish this series out. We'll get back into Pocus.
Now, is it going to be Pocus, or is it going to be Horus in Hell?
Yeah, it's going to be Pocus 6.
Pocus 6. Okay. Pocus 6 proper.
Yes. Pocus Hocus issue 6. And then it will be Horus 3. And then it'll be Pocus 7, then the conclusion of Horus in Hell for Horus 4, and then Pocus 8, which will wrap up that arc for Pocus.
Okay.
Nice.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. So you've, kind of plotting the rest of this out throughout, I guess, the rest of the year, probably even into 2025, I would imagine.
Probably at this point, probably. Yeah. Because I think Pocus 6, it's going to be a good one. And Brian he's excited. And I know how Brian gets. So he's really going to push himself with this one more than he already does with everything.
All right. I mean, you always manage to find these fantastic creative teams, and the collaboration that you have tends to bring out the best in everybody, and everybody constantly is stepping up and bringing their A game. And you were mentioning earlier about how Ruben kind of laying everything out made you really step up your game with the writing. And I think that very similarly, when you're coming up with these stories, whether it's Brian or Kit or whomever that you've got doing the art on it, they really bring their game, because they want to represent your words as best as they can with the art. And then once those pages start coming in and you're like, okay, if they're giving me these really banger visuals, I really have to step up my game on the writing standpoint. And it's continually escalation.
100%. I'd be a fool and a liar if I didn't say and admit that their art inspires me, right? Like, for Final Girl Next Door, whenever Kit sent his sketches back for Kate, yeah, that like I didn't even, he drew an eye patch on her, and I didn't even plan that, but now that inspired me to tell the story about how she lost her eye in the coming up issues, right? So it's stuff like that. Like Brian, whenever he's drawn stuff, I've gone back and changed the whole script, like a whole 8 pages, because there's something that he drew. I was like, this is better than what I wrote. So now I have to make this fit and take out something and put this in. So it's just, it's little stuff like that, right? Let your team really inspire you, and then you can be the best creator that you can be, especially for them, because it's easy to get stagnant with this. I mean, especially with Brian, like we've done so many books together, right? And we're on issue 6 of something, and I don't want him getting bored. So we're always trying to push ourselves to make sure none of us get bored.
Yeah, I don't know anybody's getting bored working on any of these stories, either from a writing or an artistic standpoint.
I was going to say, I wouldn't think boring would come into play.
Yeah.
With that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I never think, oh God, I gotta slog my way through another one of these books.
Yeah.
It's like, what kind of crazy am I gonna see now?
Yeah.
Where is this going? I have no idea where this is gonna end.
Mhm.
And I'm okay with that. I'm ready for the ride. And
Yeah.
I'm just gonna enjoy every minute, every page of it.
Great.
So, all right. So we covered the Herald, we covered Final Girl, we covered Grandma and Pocus. What's going on with Deacon? Was it Deacon Dan's famous chili or whatever?
Yeah, so we're going to be tackling Deacon Dan after this next arc of Pocus is done, because we really want to finish telling this story here.
Okay.
And then we've already have the first 8 pages done of Beneath the Lighthouse. And we're still cooking on One Sunday Afternoon, which that will be our first graphic novel.
Right. I forgot about that one too. I remember Deacon Dan's famous chili just because, again, the name.
Oh, it's the best. We'll never think of anything better.
The name just brings me in. So I'm like, oh, I gotta read this. I can't wait for it.
Oh yeah, no, we can't wait to tell the story of Deacon Dan either. But we just really want. People have been asking us for Pocus, and I get it. I want more Pocus too. So
I can't wait for you to Pocus with more Pocus.
oh God, I'm leaving.
No, you're not.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
I didn't initiate the pun that went too far. That's,
Yeah.
I didn't know there was such a thing as a pun that went too far. We did 90 seconds of cat jokes, and that was all fine. I make one Pocus joke, and you're like, all right, screw these guys. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
It's done.
Please understand, though, I'm used to people groaning, so when someone else experiences it, I'm like, oh, I'm off the hook for once.
It's not me.
Good times. Good times. All right. So as I said, we'll post the links in the show notes. Alan, for the folks that haven't listened to the prior 7, 8, 30, 11 times you've been on the show, where can people find you on the internet and to tell them subscribe to your newsletter and all that jazz?
Yeah, definitely. Newsletter is one of the best things to do it. We promise we won't bombard you with stuff. We only really send out updates if we feel like it's necessary, if we have a new project that's coming up. And it's thetophatstudios.substack.com. And you can just follow us on Kickstarter too. It's under Allen and Will, or you can just search one of our titles. No one else has been dumb enough to name their projects what we've named ours. So we're pretty easy to find on there.
Excellent. Excellent. And again, you can go back and check on our website, capesonthecouch.com, for all the prior episodes where we've had Alan or Will or both. And as I said, they have their own subcategory on the website. You can just, no, I'm serious. That's Alan and Will. Just
funny. Yeah.
Because y'all have been on so many times that it's just, all right, you get your own category. Like we've got Marvel, we've got DC, we've got heroes, we've got, Batman rogues, and then there's all the Alan and Will episodes. As I said, you can find all the episodes that Alan and Will have been on, in addition to all of our episodes in general, on our website, capesonthecouch.com. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Capes on the Couch. We have not yet had an opportunity to formally announce on an episode, but we will be doing a panel at Shenanacon in June in Parsippany. We will be using the Bacano panel that we unfortunately did not get an opportunity to present at PoochieCon because we had to back out last minute for illness on that one. But Shenanacon is a similarly anime themed convention. And I said, well, we've already done the legwork for Bacano. We've watched it. We're all set to present. We might as well just use that one. So we're very much looking forward to that. We don't have a date yet. We don't know if we're going to be Saturday or Sunday. We don't have a time, any of that. So as soon as we have that information, we will certainly pass that along and share that on our social medias. We are also communicating to do another live event. I'm not going to name any details yet, but we've gotten positive feedback, and they basically just asked us, give us some dates and let's figure out, what we can do. So we will have that announced as well. And we're continuing to submit for panels and getting guest appearances and things of that nature. So all good stuff in the works. And as I said, if you like what you hear on this episode, first off, get your head examined. No, I say that with all jest and love. But if you like what you hear,
so that's why I'm here. Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. If you need your head examined, that's why Doc is here. But no, that's right. The disclaimer says quite clearly he is not your psychiatrist. He's not your therapist. But we've got a Patreon. If you like what you hear, you can subscribe and unlock additional material, uncensored stuff, early access. There's a whole back catalog full of good stuff there. So you can check that out. We have links in the show notes for that. So Allen, again, from the bottom of our hearts, we appreciate you taking the time. Special shout out to Ruben, who dropped into the chat. He didn't get an opportunity to really say much or do anything on camera, but he was here for part of the recording. So thank you to Ruben. We'll have the links to the show notes. Go support the Herald on Kickstarter. And then we'll have the links for Final Girl Next Door and everything else you've got in the works as we continue. So Doc, before we close out, anything you want to add?
It writes itself. You got to admit that, because just be careful, because you might have this cute girl next door, but they may actually just be a herald for a grandma with a chainsaw.
Yeah.
Womp womp. And on that note, Allen, appreciate it as always. It's good chatting with you, buddy. And you're welcome back certainly anytime.
All right. Love you guys. I'm sure I'll be back.
I'm sure you will too. For Allen Dunford and Doc Issues, I'm Anthony Sitko. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Capes on the Couch podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Dr. Issues is a psychiatrist, but he is not your psychiatrist and does not have knowledge of your individual situation. For any personal mental health concerns, please consult your own healthcare providers. For medical emergencies, please call 911 or the designated number in your area immediately. Remember that you are not alone and help is out there.